Well, today I'm going to work on another miniature item from the dollar store. This one actually came from Dollarama here in Canada. The first few that I did only cost $1. Now they cost $2 here. But yeah, let's see. So these little furniture items that are available at the dollar store are actually quite nice, but generally speaking, the scale is a little bit off on this particular cradle. I really like it. I think it's got good bones, but it's definitely way too large. I mean, it's more Barbie scale. So I've got, you can see here a little one that I got out of a mini brand ball, and it's a much better size. So I'm going to make this one the same size. This dollar store home furniture, this is what the label looks like. And here's some of the items that you can see on the back of the packaging. So the first step to doing any of this type of renovation is you got to heat it up in order to take it apart. So in 20-second intervals, you make the piece of furniture hot. That releases the glue, and then it'll come apart without ripping the wood apart. So you can see here I've got it completely taken apart now. So what I did was is I took the sides and I actually cut 4 little pieces of wood, although you can see I cut them pretty unevenly, and that's the bottom of the cradle. So I'm going to have to cut those down to size. I actually used the size of the one that came in the mini brand ball as my scale, and that's approximately how much I have to cut off of it in order to make it correct. This little miter saw actually does a really excellent job of cutting things. They're easily available on Amazon. I ended up getting mine at Levi Tools, but yeah, they work just terrific. And you can see I'm just cutting down also the bottom of the cradle where the little mattress will go. So I'm just cutting that off as well. Now I've got all the pieces trimmed to the proper length. You can see that they're actually, I didn't cut them because I cut them with a hand, so I didn't cut them very evenly. So I'm just going to have to take some sandpaper and sand them down until all 4 pieces are the correct width. After I got them all sanded down, then I actually sanded the top and the bottom of them. And then I decided I wanted to sand the edge of each of them just so that it would give a nice rounded edge just on the top part. So you can see here, I'm just kind of turning the wood at a slight angle, and then I'm going to just kind of round off the top. I'm not making it like overly round. I'm just kind of taking the sharp corner off of the top part of it. So now I've got them sanded down and kind of the edges a little slightly rounded. Now I'm going to be using these little cocktail sticks as spindles for the side of my cradle. And I just got to figure out how long I have to make them. The big secret here is to make sure that when I do this, I make all of them the exact same size. So otherwise, nothing is going to fit together. So now I'm happy with how this turned out. Those are the sides of the crib. That's the bottom of the little crib or cradle. And now I'm going to cut these little spindles out. So once again, I got the little miter box out and I've cut a bunch of spindles. They're really super easy to cut. I mean, it's just one stroke with this little saw. It turns out pretty easily. So I'm just measuring them against one another. This is not an expert measuring technique, but I'm not really too terribly worried about measuring them exactly perfect because the whole thing is at the end, if they're not exactly perfect, well then you can take the sandpaper and you can make them the correct size by sanding them down. So you can see here I'm just sanding the edge of some of the spindles just so I can make sure that they're all going to be the exact same the exact same size. So now I've got the pieces laid down. This is how they're going to work. So you can see the rounded edges are going to be on the top. And then I'm going to fit the little spindles in and then glue them in just like this. So I figured out my pattern. This is how far apart I want each of them to be. And I'm just kind of using the lines on my little green board there, which seems to work out pretty good. The rounded edges on the top, and then the rounded edge will be on the top as well, on the bottom part of it. So here's all the pieces that I cut out. They turned out pretty good. They all look pretty even. So I've got out my tacky glue, and it's time to glue this thing together. Let's see how it works. So I'm going to glue the first row of these spindles on vertically. So I'm just dipping them into tacky glue and then putting them on the line exactly where I want them to go, and making them as straight as possible. And I've sped up the video here so that you can see, you don't have to watch it like in real time, because it does take me quite a while. I guess the hardest part of this was making sure that they're all exactly spaced. And you can see some of them look a little bit crooked, but not too worried about it. Tacky glue takes a little bit of time to dry, so it does give me a little bit of leniency in terms of being able to adjust them. My next step is to put a little dab of glue onto the top of each one of these little spindles or dowels, and then I can put the top plate on. So I'm just going to turn it on its side and make sure that the rounded side goes to the top, and I'm just going to glue that on. You can see they're a little crooked, but that's okay. I could just make the adjustments now and make sure that they're nice and straight. As you can see, I've kind of made some adjustments to it, and the tacky glue is not dry yet, so it's easy to manipulate. So I've got it just the way I want it, and then I'll go on and do the second piece. So both sides of my cradle are completed, and I'm just taking off a little bit of the excess glue, and I will leave them to dry and go on to doing the backboard and the footboard of the crib. So this is like, I guess, the headboard and the footboard of the crib. There is a little bit of glue from it originally being glued together, and I'm going to sand that off before I start assembling it. But I do want to also put spindles in to these big gaping holes in the front and back of it, because I think it's unsafe for a baby. Baby might fall out. And of course, I'm going to use the same technique to cut these little spindles that are going to go into the headboard and footboard of the cradle. And here I am sanding away the excess glue that was on the headboard and footboard from when the little item was originally glued together. Now it's nicely sanded. I'm just gluing in the little dowels or spindles into the top and the bottom, and then I can assemble it. It's pretty straightforward to glue this back together, just exactly kind of the way it was, except for, of course, we've got new sides and they are shorter. So I'm just gonna take some tacky glue and glue this back together. So it's been glued back together. I want to add a little bit of design element to it. So I'm going to be gluing some lace right at the bottom of this with my tacky glue. So I'm just putting tacky glue along the bottom, and then I will professionally wipe it with my fingertip. And I went through all of my lace until I found a lace that would actually fit in here. So this is the lace that I'm going to be using, and I'm just going to glue it onto the front and the back of the cradles on the, I guess they would be the rocker runners, and it will just add a little bit of a design element. I know it looks a little strange to be doing this in lace, but once it's painted, it'll actually look like it's part of the wood and give it a lovely little design element. Probably the hardest part of doing this aspect of it is just making sure that it's trimmed out really nicely. So you don't want any of the lace to overhang. So You have to make sure that you go in really close with the scissors and trim any excess off. It doesn't look like much, but once it's painted, it'll really add a lot to it. So now I pulled out a piece of paper, and because I don't want to get paint all over my green mat, I think it's got enough paint on it already. And I'm just going to be painting this little guy with a baby blue color. So I think that looks a little bit nicer than white. White seems to be a little bit boring. So I figured I'll just add a unique color. So, and it's a nice pastel blue, so it'll turn out really good. I kind of like to speed up through the painting process because it's super boring to watch somebody paint. So now I've got it painted, I'm going to actually dry brush it with kind of a creamy white color. So just to kind of give it a little bit of a design element. It's not it's not a perfect dry brush technique, but I think it looks better than just leaving. Next, I brought out the paint markers, and I'm just painting a little ducky just at the headboard, just to, I don't know, I always think of all those old-fashioned cradles, like from the 40s and 50s, always had a decal on them. I wished I had some decals, but I don't. So instead, I'm just going to hand paint a little ducky, and it's just a simple little design with little waves underneath of them, and I think that'll look pretty cute when it's all done. So these paint markers are just absolutely amazing. So they're a really fine tipped acrylic paint marker, and yeah, I think they're really great for doing any art projects in miniature, and they turn out really fantastic. It's a lot easier than using a tiny brush and painting something like this in small detail. I also have some bindi, I think that's what you call it. It's East Indian artwork or tattoos that I think they wear to weddings, and I picked it up at the like Value Village, which is a local charity shop, and look how cute they are. Like, just that's one individual one. So I picked them up because I thought they'd make interesting design elements. And there's our little mouse. She's fully dressed. I just simply used um, two little pieces of lace and crisscrossed them for her top. So, and then I just stuck a little bindi, which is self-adhesive, onto the top of it. And there's her little bloomers. And you can see she's now fully dressed. So, not the best top. I could have probably done better, but good enough for now. So I'm just going to show you how our bloomers look. Yeah. Oh, I've already lost the bindi, and I think I lost that one permanently. And here's our little finished cradle, and with the little ducky, and you can see the design element of the lace on the bottom. I really like the way that turned out, and yeah, I'm quite pleased. Now, if you look, remember at the beginning, this was in the base of it. See how much smaller it is now that I cut it down? Like, it's considerably smaller. Now, do you remember the size of the original cradle compared to the one that I got out of the mini brand ball? Now they're the same size. So there you go. I mean, significantly smaller. And I'm just going to take this little baby out and show you there's a little foam pad. I don't know if it's foam or rubberized, but it's like got a really nice texture to it. And I'm going to put that into the new cradle that was just made. And I'm just going to check it out and see if it fits. And nope, it's just a little bit too long, just slightly too long. So if I trim that off, that should work. I'm not going to have to cut much of it off. You can see it just bends a little bit. So I'll just grab out the scissors and give that a little bit of a trim. And yeah, that's a really pretty pad. I really want to reuse it. I don't really care for plastic furniture inside of my doll houses, so I'm really pleased to be able to reuse this. And that's all I had to trim off of it, just a little, slight little amount. And I'm just going to tuck that in there. You know, I didn't plan that. It was kind of a last minute thing, but look how well it matches the little ducky. Not too shabby. And then I'm just going to put my little pillow inside of it. Yeah, that's a cute little pillow with the little teddy bear on it. So sweet. And then I'll put my little baby in there with her little teddy bear. And look how cute that looks. So I think that's like definitely something that I would use inside of a dollhouse. But don't worry, that little plastic one won't go to waste, because I have a granddaughter that would gratefully put that into her dollhouse. I'm sure she'd be quite happy to have it. So there you go. So I'm really pleased with the outcome. You know, it just proves that you don't have to spend a fortune on miniatures in order to be able to have the things that you need inside of your dollhouse. I mean, this $2 dollar store little item, I think it turned out fantastic, and I don't think it looks like a dollar store item at all now. If you do decide to do this, just know that this certainly didn't take me 20 minutes to do it. It took me 2 or 3 hours and lots of waiting time in between with things drying. So you have to be patient if you're going to do a little job like this, that's for sure. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. It's free to do so, and it really does help my channel grow. It also helps when people hit the like button and leave comments. And if you do subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell, and then that way you'll know every time I upload a new video. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. And once again, everyone, have the best day ever.